that music connects people who wouldn't normally connect. I think it's a cool thing. One thing I've always loved, like, because music is such a universal part of the human experience. Like, music has been around for as long as humans have had a voice that they can use to sing with and hum. There's even music in just like, spoken storytelling, like oral tradition that's passed down, especially because oftentimes a lot of like an oral tradition is accompanied by some sort of music, whether it's like a drum circle type thing or like whatever. Like, it's humans have used music and song and oral tradition for time immemorial to connect with each other and to pass on to the future wisdom and emotion and heart and soul and all these amazing things. And for me, like, it's an extra special thing for me because, like, music was one of those things that I turned to give me a place to focus my pain and my energy and my rage and all, like, I felt like I had no control in my life, so I wrote music because that was something I could control. And then when I was able to, like, perform it on stage and let other people listen to it and to see the reaction that other people got, not only just enjoying it, that's awesome, but when I would get stuff where I would have somebody who'd be like, hey, like, your music got me through some stuff, your lyrics got me through some hard times. It was nice to know that I wasn't alone, which to me is so, just fills my fucking heart. Like, the idea that I wrote these songs about the things I was going through, about my pain, and someone else was able to hear it, read the lyrics, hear the song, and empathize, sympathize, identify with it. To go like, I feel that way too. Like, and it makes me think of like my own experience with music, where I would listen to these songs where I'm going through these dark times, and they're talking about the stuff that I'm experiencing, and so I'm feeling that same thing of like, I feel that too. And one of the other beautiful things about it too, especially when it comes to like the music end of it, is that there is no hierarchy to it. In the sense of like, it's not like, oh, I can only identify with bands of music that are farther along than me, and the people under me and the normies can only no. I like, there's been local bands. My first time hearing them, first couple shows played, I've more experience in them, and I'm like, dude, this is amazing. This is just heartbreaking. This is like awesome. It's so cool. The reason why I'm bringing all this up, the reason I want to talk about this, is that, like, I had someone check in on me, and I didn't need to necessarily be checked in on. I'm doing really good, but it was someone who I met through music. He's played in other bands. He's very talented in his own right, and he had booked a show at a bar in a town nearby, and we played it, and I got to talk to him a little bit and hang out with him a little bit, and I've interacted with him online. And he just out of nowhere, he does it every once in a while, I say, hey dude, I was just thinking about you, wanted to check in on you, see how you're doing. And this is one I met through music, and we just got to talking. It's like, hey, I'm really good, how are you? Things are going the way they are with him. I'm not going to put his business out there like that. But over the course of the conversation, we started talking about, we started talking about like music and the stuff that we write, and how the experiences of our lives have shaped that. And so like he had like referenced some specific songs that he had written with his old band, and I like referenced songs that I had written, sent those lyrics and stuff that lyrics to one that I never got a chance to actually finish up. I may finish it up on my own, but like for us, guys from two different areas, two completely separate backgrounds, don't even play the same type of music. He's punk, I'm, fucking thrash metal and industrial. And so, like, but we just connected and just vibed. And, like, I want to fucking start a band with this guy. I'm sure it's not going to work out, just in the sense of, like, we all got our own lives, but I think it'd be dope because, like, he and I fucking vibe together when it comes to, like, that type of stuff. So I would love to see how much more we vibe on, because it's really cool when when you can write music and make music with people who you're just on the level with. And that's kind of the other thing too, is that, like, I've made some interesting friends and had some amazing experiences. Like, some of the guys I've worked with, like, I've worked with some assholes. I've played music with some assholes. I've had terrible things happen with music. I've had terrible people I play with music with. But then I've also, like, the feeling of being able to just connect with someone. Like, when you write music together and you just hit that, like, collective wavelength, it's wild. It's transcendent. And I don't say that lightly. Like, it's cool as fuck. I definitely miss being on stage. I miss writing music. I miss being a part of that. I may have to get that back. But yeah, I mean, it's just... And I don't know, and I'm going to kind of pivot a little bit, but, like, I just love that, like, that's something that came out. Like, I met this dude through music, and now he just checks in on me every once in a while. I've checked on him a couple times, too. And that's just awesome. I love that. And I think it also says something about, like, where do friends come from? Because, like, that sounds kind of weird. Like, I feel like I don't understand where friends come from. This sounds weird as fuck. Let me explain. Like, the people who I hang out with, the people who I talk to, the people who I'm friends with, the origins are sometimes weird. It's like someone just kind of popped up, and I just, like, it's like, oh, I guess we're friends now. I don't get it. Like, some people were from high school. Someone was my best friend for a long fucking time. He and I first started hanging out when his dad's band and my dad's band played an all-ages show together. And he and I were thick as thieves after that. Hung out all the time. I called his parents mom and dad. He called my parents mom and dad. Like, that type of friendship. I've played in bands together before. And it was a lot of fun. But then, like, there's just people who, like, for a while I had a friend who, I was sitting there, like, just fucking walking around town, like, around the park or something. They came up and they're like, oh, I love your hair, I love your style, blah, blah, blah. I compliment them a little bit. Hey, dude, like, yeah, it's so cool. And then next thing I know, we've exchanged numbers and now we're hanging out together. And that person, they've moved on, they've done their own thing. But, like, you get what I mean, though. That's just wild as hell. And then the other thing that's kind of interesting, too, is that, like the web of, like, people I've met through other people, and my friendships have transcended my connections with those original people. I have a friend now, I met her through my ex. Like, that was someone who she knew through her network of people who work in the same field as her, and, like, coworkers of coworkers type of things. And her and I now have this really good friendship that, it evolves so far beyond the connection to my ex that, like, we're just friends now independently. And it's weird to think about that type of stuff. I don't know. And it's one of these things, like, kind of what I was thinking about it, like, I was assessing lately the actual layout of my friends and where they've come from. Because I've got a couple groups. Group one is people from my past. And I have maybe 5. like, there's 2 I interact with on a frequent to semi-frequent basis. And then, like, you know, there's a couple other ones where it's like, yeah, we check in every once in a while. And then, like, I have several people who I consider friends now who are friends of my current partner. And to me, that, like, it's a little worrisome in the sense of, like, a larger part of the friend circle I had with my ex was through her circle. And so when her and I split, I severed a lot of those connections. And mainly because I'm me and I'm a little weird in the head. What it basically came down to was that, like, I'll give you an easy one, a simple one. My ex's best friend, known each other since they were, you know, super, super, super young. Her husband and I had a pretty good friendship, you know, and I had been invited, included into part of his friend circle of people who like play Magic together, right? You know, so I'd see them once a week playing cards, and it was kind of funny because, like, it got to a point where, like, I spent more time at these weekly card game nights than he did. And that's fine. He's got his own life. I've got my own life. Like, that is whatever. And I was fortunate that, like, these people liked me and we clicked well. But in my brain, it was always like, yeah, those are his friends. And, like, I'm the newcomer to his friend group. And I don't know how much that actually counted or not. Like, it's, you know, because basically what happens, once my ex and I had officially split, I severed contact with them because I felt like it wasn't my place to still be there through the transitive property of friendship. Because, follow the logic, help me how I'm wrong, because I've been told before, is that for me, with my ex and I splitting, people take sides. Is what it is. And obviously, ex's best friend is going to side with her. 1000%, as it should be. And in my brain, I consider all couples to be a monolith, a unified front, right? For good and bad. And so we'll circle back on that. But so because ex's friend has to take her side, friend's husband is a unified front with her. Cool. And yeah, I'm sure he's not nearly as serious about it and whatever, as, you know, that's been what's relayed to me, but that's still where I'm at. And so then you go from there to, okay, you know, he's a unified front with his wife, his friends are his circle. So for me, it's like, okay, cool. That is no longer a group that I am entitled to. That is no longer, like, because what I don't want to have happen is they go like, hey, how you been? And I'm like, oh, well, I've been like this, and I vent stuff. And then it either creates an awkward situation where it's like, ooh, we kind of know the other side of this. We've heard the other side, and we kind of have loyalty marks. Or the thing of like, oh, I've said this, and they go, oh, well, man, Eddie said this, and it gets all the way back in. Because, like, yes, I am pretty, like, open, pretty, you know, honest with my ex about how I feel. But there is a certain level of, like, if I'm just venting and just spitting stuff out, as you've probably seen, if you're the negative one person who watches any of these, I just kind of go where the fucking thought process takes me. And so there's a lot of times, especially when I'm venting, where I kind of land on a very harsh spot and talk my way back from it. As I kind of like, once it exits my mouth, it becomes part of the ether, part of the universe, and I go, ooh, actually, I don't know if I actually feel that way now that I've said it out loud. But if you just take the thing I've said, snip that, and pass it along, it's like, oh, this is way worse. This is what it is. So for me, I just, you know, cool. Easier for me to remove all conflict of interest and just boop, 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 cycle back. Yeah. And then even with like the unified front thing, like I've been told by other people that I'm a little extreme, which makes sense. I'm a person of extremes. But, because like for me, the way I see it is that if my partner is beefing, I'm beefing. If my partner's fighting, I'm fighting. Right? Like, there's no secrets between me and my partner. And I'm pretty open with them, my friends. Like, they're going to tell me stuff. Don't tell me, hey, don't tell your partner. Because that's not how that works. I don't keep anything from my partner. The only way I'm keeping a secret from my partner is if I'm going to surprise her with it later. Other than that, like, I don't keep information like that. And if someone wants to tell me information that can't be shared like that, don't tell me. Because that's just how I am. And I treat other couples the same way. Because I will never, ever, ever, ever ask someone, want someone, or expect someone to create any kind of line of division between them and their partner. I will never ask them to, you know, oh, I need you to keep a secret from your partner. I don't want you saying this to your partner. Or, you know, expecting them to actually take my side against their partner or anything like that. Never. Because, like, you know, it's not my place to come in between that. If they want to do that with their partner, that's their thing. But I don't want to contribute to it. And that's the thing, too, is that if it's stuff that, like, even if that person tells me, hey, I won't tell my partner, I'm still not going to tell that person anything. Because I don't want them to, one, the distrustful part of me is like, well, I don't want them to accidentally leak something, even if their intentions are pure. I don't want them to accidentally leak something. But the other one too is that I don't want to put them in a position where they have to go, I don't know if I can say that. Yeah, I don't want to do that. And in one specific case with one specific friend, I heavily downshifted what I told him and how I dealt with him, specifically because I didn't, you know, me and his partner are not cool at all. Like, that is, it's not fight on sight, but it's 2 emotional steps below that, maybe 1 emotional step below that. And I'm not going to say any more about it for people who don't know, but anyone who knows me probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. And so I didn't tell him anything. Unless it was like super happy stuff. I'm so happy. I'm so good. Because that could be in the universe everywhere. You know, the best revenge is a life well lived. And baby, I'm fucking living. But I'm not telling him anything else is going on in my life. Because I don't need it to get back to his partner. Ex-partner. Okay, what are we doing? Okay. Like, I think they're not together now. What the fuck is going on up here? People can't drive. Or is there something in the fucking road? What is... Oh, there's debris in the road. That's awesome. Cool. Okay. Someone didn't secure the wood on their truck. But yeah, so like, you know, I made it a point to, and in a lot of ways, it definitely hurt the friendship. But for me, I have to protect my peace, and I have to, even if I have no doubt in my mind that he would not intentionally divulge secrets. Honestly, I have very little doubts about him inadvertently spilling secrets. This is a dude who's good at keeping secrets. He's had his own life, and he's made his own choices for a lot of things, and a lot of that involved being very good at keeping secrets. But for me, it's more peaceful to me for there to not be a possibility of it. And that's just me. I'm a person of extremes. But yeah, I don't know. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like, as I think about it now, it's like, I do have some really good friends who are just mine, who I know that if I need to talk to someone, I can talk to them, and I know it'll be exactly where it is. The kind of cool thing is that one of these friends, a very, very good friend of mine, they are decentralized from everything else. Like, they have no connection to anyone or anything else in my life, which is awesome because I can really talk to them and really like get in the nitty gritty with them. And I know it's not going to go anywhere, which is makes you feel better. It's kind of like having a therapist. Not that I treat this person as a therapist. I mean, you know, don't treat your friends as therapists like that. Go get actual therapy. But it's really nice to have friends that you can kind of commiserate with, and you know that like, you know that like, because there's no connection anywhere else, there's no conflict of interest, no conflict of loyalty. And the other thing is true. This person can absolutely unload the entirety of their troubles on me. And there's no one I could possibly talk to where it would get back to any other part of her circle. So they can vent with impunity. Awesome. I don't know. And I will say too, and this is something I'm bad about, it's nice to have someone check in on you. I am really bad about not checking in on people. I don't know. I've never felt like I was that good of a friend. I've been told otherwise, but like I'm kind of flighty, and like I have object permanence when it comes to people, like the ADHD. Like if I'm not constantly interacting with them or having something that's reminding me of them, I forget they exist until it's like, oh shit, yeah, that's right, that's a person. And it's never anything personal. I'm not trying to be a terrible person. I'm not trying to cause problems. I'm forgetful. I don't control the brain. And like, I'm not as bad as I was before, but like I used to also be really bad. I would just drop off the face of the earth sometimes. Like I never prioritized keeping strong connections with people and keeping strong communications with people. And so there would be times where it would just, especially when I was in my darker periods, I would just stop answering my phone, stop taking calls, stop taking texts. And my friends after a while got used to it, because I was doing this as early as like early high school, where it'd be like, oh, where's Eddie? Eddie's just fucking in a mood, and you know, Eddie will pop back up here in a week or so. You know, I'm not nearly as bad about it now. It's a much better place in my life, much happier. And I've learned a lot more regulation, a lot more coping mechanisms, a lot more emotional strength and emotional regulation. Stuff that I didn't have before, so I would just isolate until I buried all my shit back down. But yeah. Kind of where that's at. I know, I went from music to friends. I don't even know how I'm going to title this. I don't really care. But yeah. I want to play music again. I would really love to play music with that one specific person. And I'm really at the point where I think I'm getting to a point where I actually want to like really get to know them more outside of just music. Because talking to this person, I think this person could actually be a legitimate friend. Especially because someone who's going to out of nowhere just be like, hey dude, you know, just checking in on you, thought about you and wanted to see if you're okay, want to make sure you're good. That's powerful. Check on your friends, be a good friend. You can check on people who maybe aren't necessarily your friend. Check on people who you're just neutral with. Because you know what? Best case scenario, they're doing great, and they're really touched that you thought about them. Worst case scenario, or worst case scenario for them, best case scenario for you, they're actually going through something kind of serious, and you checking in on them is what gave them the strength to go another day and maybe start seeing things differently. I've been there. I've been in that dark spot. And someone going, hey dude, you know, kind of worried about you, want to make sure you're okay. Yeah. Be cool, check on your friends, write lots of music, go listen to music, and connect with people through music. Yeah. Peace.